My name's Mike Fowler. I'm the Acting Director of Outreach and Communications for the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency. I'd like to welcome you all here. I'd also like who are here in the room, and I'd also like to welcome the people that are watching us virtually. We're pleased to see you again, as we always are. Hopefully one day you won't have to be here, but we are pleased to see you because we know many of you for many years. Couple administrative notes. On your table, there are a list of restaurants that are in the area for our break. Can you pull up the agenda, please? All right. You see the agenda slide here. I'm not going to read through it for you. The notable thing is we will have a lunch break from 11:30 to 1:30. Translate that military time for you. And then we will do a question and answer from 3:30 to 4:30 this afternoon in this room. And with that, everybody look at their folder. I presume everyone has checked in upstairs with their service casualty offices. You also hear people, we love acronyms, we'll call them SCOs. I call them the casualty offices. But if you have any questions, please see them, and they will get you situated. If you look in your booklets that everyone has, on the left-hand side, I believe it is you will see a survey. Please fill those out. You can kind of fill it out as you go along following the briefings. We do take this stuff very seriously, and we try to make changes and improve the program based on your feedback. And you also have a copy of the slides. If you can't see them or you want to jot notes down, they will also be posted online after the fact. And you also have another schedule to refer to. All right. Those of you who are able to, please stand for the arrival of the colors and the singing of the national anthem by Senior Master Sergeant Emily Wellington.
Colors, ready, cut. Colors, present, arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors, right shoulder, arms. Guard, ready, step.
now I'd like to introduce Chaplain Victoria Reeves.
I invite you to bow your heads with me. Creator, thank you for gathering us together for the next 2 days to first honor our loved ones still missing from a war fought not that long ago. May these in attendance create new bonds with daughters, sons, cousins, friends, aunts, uncles, and other important people around them. Grief is nearly impossible to bear alone, but grant these an opportunity and space to share their individual stories with others who understand like no one else can. Allow us to learn from them and share and even help carry their burdens and expectantly hope to say, welcome home. Thank you for the opportunity to hear from experts such as the Department of Defense, the Defense Intelligence Agency, research from the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, and more. I pray these moments are restful, informative, honoring, and connecting. Thank you for the passion and tireless work of the DPAA, from excavations to those who plan events such as this. Their efforts do not go unnoticed. I also pause for an appreciation of a strong connection with our Asian partners. Help us see how deeply connected we all are and guide conversations towards healing. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to start our remembrance ceremony. I draw your attention to the back of your program booklet. Can kind of focus your thoughts on what you would like to say. This is your opportunity to get up and tell us a little bit about your loved one, why you're here. These gentlemen with the microphones in the uniform will have microphones. Please raise your hand and they will come to you. I ask that you keep the microphone close to your mouth so that it'll transmit and everyone will be able to hear you. Who's going to be the brave individual that's going to go first? Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Maureen Hickman Caparasso. I am one of 4 daughters of United States Air Force Captain Vincent J. Hickman, who was a navigator with the Air Force and was killed on January 14th of 1964, 60 years ago. My mother just turned 90 yesterday, and we would like some answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Robert Hess. I'm the youngest brother of Frederick Hess, Jr., United States Air Force, shot down in Laos, March 29, 1969. He was backseater of an F-4 Phantom, and his parents are gone. His wife died a year and a half ago, and there's now a marker in Arlington, but the questions remain, and like her, I'm here for answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Heather Hoskins Henry. I have never attended, and I'm in awe of this. And I'm sorry if I stumble or get a little emotional. My father was shot down over Laos in 1971, and I was 17 months old. And he was in the Air Force and flew F-4s. I didn't really know much about this story, as my family kind of sheltered me from it and took care of my mother. She had, quit college to marry him, and we were living at, Air Force bases, and she didn't have a job, and we were living with my grandparents at the time that he was overseas. And so she had, no job, no college degree, no home, really, and a 17-month-old. She's doing well. We live in Connecticut now. I grew up with just her. I have no siblings. I was blessed to have 3 sons, married an amazing man. So I want to believe there's a higher power, that he was looking out for me and has a wicked sense of humor, that he thinks I can handle 3 boys. But our oldest is in the Army now. He actually attended West Point, which was not a great fit for him. So now he is currently enlisted and in San Antonio in medic training, and really wishing him the best, because that's been tough too. But very hard. When he told me he wanted to go to West Point, I actually said, "Do you hate me?" because he has actually worn my dad's bracelet since he was like 14. He was very motivated by my father's story. I've had many interesting stories happen over the years. The closest I got to the Air Force was I was a flight attendant for about 18 months. Definitely not cut out for that job. I was a terrible flight attendant. But I am now currently a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And I think for obvious reasons, because it's deeply affected me, and I want to help others. I'm not sure what else I can tell you, but thanks for listening. And I'm really happy to see people in this scenario. I've never met anyone else with his stories. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Oh, this gentleman right here. Wait for a microphone, please. Oh, go ahead, sir. Sorry, it's hard for me to see with these lights.
I'm Nick Dwarin, and I have 30 years behind me in the military. I was sent to Vietnam in 1966. My brother-in-law, who I'm here representing, was in Vietnam from 65 to 66. The night before he was shot down over Laos, I was with him. We talked about what he might transpire and see when he was there. So sure enough, he went out and never came back. He was shot over Laos, shot down. In fact, picked him up on radio. They were in good condition. There was 2 of them. And they were trying to evade. And we found out since that the North Vietnamese colonel that was heading up the resupply and rest area on the way in from North Vietnam to South Vietnam on the Ho Chi Minh Trail said, if you cannot get them alive, shoot them. They got shot. And they've been there ever since April 6, 1966. On April 7th, his boss called me up and said, would you come down to Saigon? I want to talk to you. And that's when I found out that he had been shot down, and all they knew is that at that time they were missing. And we've been following this ever since. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of my missing husband, Michael W. McAndrews, who was a warrant officer and a pilot. I'm very happy to be a pilot after training with helicopters, and we were just sure he would come back. In actuality, only his plane went down, and all those helicopters came out fine, so good luck to his classmates. I came to one of these about 50 years ago. Yes, I am that old. And it broke my heart to open the first page of the book, and I was just a sobbing mess and never came back. I kept in touch, and then last month, just as my father passed away, he was a World War II officer, I got an email. And here's where the hope part comes in. Some fisherman in Vietnam was dragging a net and pulled up, and it got caught on something, so he got another friend of his, and they went out to see what was in that net. And as it turns out, it is a part of my husband's plane. So now we know exactly where that plane is. So I'm here because I was told that you have a lot of archaeologists who can go dig up, but not too many divers. So if any of you want to go learn how to dive or anything, they could use them. But so I'm here just kind of as the squeaky wheel to hope that now that you know exactly where he is, this great fisherman found him, we can bring him back. he has a son, and that's the end of our family. So if any of you could help, with me, see me, tapping on your shoulder, anybody can go get him. I'd like to have him back. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia. My father was Warrant Officer Donald R. Sagert. He flew Hueys. His killed in action date was June 10th, 1965. I have my husband, Steve, and two of his grandchildren and great-granddaughter here, just to be here in case, hopefully, when he does get to come home, that there is someone in the family to receive him. I just want to thank you all for your efforts.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Steve Morrissey. I'm here with my wife, Jenny. I'm the only surviving son and primary next of kin of Colonel Robert David Morrissey, Jr. I'm sorry, that's my brother. Colonel Robert David Morrissey, presumed killed in action November 7, 1972. My dad served 3 tours in Vietnam. He flew C-130s. F-4s, and then his casualty was in the F-111. He was in the 427th Tactical Fighter Squadron of the 430th Tactical Fighter Wing stationed in Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas. And my family's been involved in this since, obviously, since 1972. My mom was active in the formation of the League of Families, and both my mom and my brother have passed on. My mom is now buried in Arlington under the marker that there memorializes my father's casualty. And I'm just grateful for the efforts of the government, and we've had a long and often strained relationship with all the different entities that serve us in this effort, and we're not always happy with what we get from them, but we are always grateful for their efforts and for their commitment to resolution of this issue.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My name is Dorothy Morris. I'm here for my brother, First Lieutenant Michael Miller. He was killed March 28th, 1969. For years, I did not know the truth. I was given conflicting information. It took me 35 years, much with help from my late husband, who was an F-4 pilot in the same squadron, locating the forward air controller, as well as the general who was commander of the wing at the time, those who witnessed what had happened, and found out much of the conflicting information, what had actually happened. I did this as a civilian. It was 2002 or 2001, the last time someone was to the exact crash site. Nothing has been done since. I get the same report year after year with no changes. I have to say I'm very disillusioned. I'm watching all of us age. I'm the last one of my family. I'm going to be 76. I will be passing this along eventually to my own children who never knew my brother. And I find that rather sad. So I wanted to let you know my feelings on this, which may be different from some of yours. I hope eventually there will be some conclusion to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Maggie Ogden Artery. I'm here with my niece, Carolyn Wolf from Phoenix, and we're here representing my little brother, Howard Ogden Jr., a loss in October 1967 in South Vietnam. I'm thankful for all the work that DPAA has been doing on my brother's case, and feel sorry for the woman that just spoke. My brother's case is active, and I really look forward to bringing my little brother home soon. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mark Morrison. I was stationed in Vietnam in 1966. And on October 24th, I received a letter from my brother. At that time, he was Captain Glenn R. Morrison, United States Air Force, graduate of the Annapolis Naval Academy in 1959. Glenn advised me in that letter that he was in Vietnam, and I went to my commanding officer in Chulai and asked if there was a chance I could visit my brother. He said, by all means, and he lined me up with a civilian aircraft to fly me from Chulai to Phan Rang. I arrived in Phan Rang on October 25th, 1966, at about 1400. I asked a Follow Me Jeep driver, an Air Force NCO, I believe, if he knew where the 614th Tactical Fighter Squadron was located. He pointed to a Quonset hut about a half mile away. He says, over there. I said, can you give me a lift? He says, why don't you walk, Marine? I said, listen, you SOB, I need to see my brother. When I got to 614th Tactical Fighter office, it was a Quonset hut, a long aisle with doors on either side. And it opened up to an area, and I could see a lot of brass. Now remember, I'm only 19 years old, a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps. And I walked down, the officer says, what do you want, Marine? I said, I'm here to visit my brother. I said, and who that might be? I said, Captain Morrison. Well, he's in a meeting. He says, stand over there. And, yes, sir. About 15 minutes later, I hear a door open and a lot of feet shuffling. And a bunch of pilots come walking up that aisleway, and my brother was the last one. We hadn't seen each other for 2 years, but we were awful close. Glenn was 10 years older, my hero of my life. I said, Glenn, he looked over and didn't recognize me. The last time he saw me, I was at 204 pounds. This time I was weighing 134 pounds, thanks to a diet of sea rations and dysentery. Marine Corps didn't eat that well. Oh, of course, we hugged, and the officer suggested that we go out and have some pictures taken. Glenn says, I'm not giving those goddamn commies pictures of two brothers from Iowa that are here in Vietnam together. Well, his commanding officers kind of insisted. And so he said, okay. We proceeded out to the tarmac and had pictures taken. Around his F-100D. And as he was doing his inspection, I walked around with him. I, being an ammunition technician, knew about the armament on the plane. Glenn took off, flew a sortie, and came back. And he says, well, let's go get some dinner, but you can't come with me. He says, you're in Marine Corps uniform, you're not an officer. So they hunted around and found some civilian clothes that I could get into and wrap around my waist a couple times and cinch up with my Marine Corps belt. We went to the officers' club and had a good steak dinner. Although I was only 19 years old, I had some damn good scotch that night. I tried to talk Glenn into going home. He had a wife and 3 daughters. I said, because of the Sullivan Act, I can stay here and you go home. He says, Mark, this is my career. I have a chance to be a test pilot. Why don't you go home? He says, I got a sortie in the morning, and then we have 5 days together we can spend. He said there was an IG inspection going on, and that I could just wait in his Quonset hut, and he'd be back around 0930, 1000. Well, I woke up at 5 as he was going out the hatch, the door. I said, Glenn. He turned. Good luck. He gave me a thumbs up. Closed the door. Little did I know, that was our last chance to speak with each other. This is my first meeting, and it's very difficult. I wrote a letter home to Mom and Dad, said we were together, and not worry about us, we'll be good. And I waited. About 11 o'clock, an officer comes in. He says, oh, you're still here. I said, yeah, I'm waiting for Glenn. He said, oh, he'll probably be here shortly. I don't know if he was checking to see if I was there or what. But I'm reading either a Life magazine or a Post. I'm not sure which it was. Sitting between 2 bunks on a chair, and the door opened, and I saw a lot of brass. Excuse me, officers, but I jumped to attention, and I said, carry on. I sat down and buried my head in this magazine because I was sure this was an IG inspection. An officer sat right directly in front of me, one on my left and one on my right. I look to my right and I see a cross on a collar. Immediately, I knew something was wrong. They told me my brother was missing in action. I stayed 5 days. My other brother, a graduate of West Point in 1960, was at the Pentagon. He and I spoke several times while I was there. After 5 days, I flew back to Da Nang and then to Chu Lai the following morning. Told my CEO what happened, and he said, you're going home. I had an hour and a half to check out. It was 124 degrees in July. 36 hours later, I landed in Mason City, Iowa, my hometown. I got off the plane still in dungarees, or utilities as the Marine Corps called them. I did get my boots shined and a shave in Hawaii. In 1979, the Air Force advised my family and Glenn's wife that they declared Glenn dead. I'm here to find out more.
Thank you.
I thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My name is Frank Platt. I'm the cousin of John Floyd Hummel. He was a Cobra pilot. He was in B Troop, 7th of the 1st, and the closest thing I had to a brother, and I'm here representing him. First of all, he was not specifically MIA. He was a POW, and we've recently found that out. I'm here with the family of the guy in the front seat, Bill Milliner, and his brother and sister-in-law, and we're here to see some answers off the case. I'm also with his roommate with B Troop, Vic Missant, who has a lot of facts that relate to the case. But the one thing I was kind of curious, this is kind of a question to the people here. How many of the people here are aviation-related helicopters? I'm sure there's a few. If you get the chance, contact the VHPA. They might be able to connect you with some of the people that served with your family member. You might be able to get more information that way. And part of the story I'm going to talk about has to do with that. It happened this May, because I've noticed a lot of people here doing the same thing. They have a Gold Star breakfast. I sat down at a table with people I did not know at all and started to eat breakfast, and somebody mentioned his class that he went through at Fort Walters. And I said, "Is that Johnny's class? Is that Johnny's class?" And I asked the guy, "Do you know John Hummel?" He looked at me kind of funny and said, "Who's that?" And they had a flyer and had his picture was on the cover of it. It says, "This guy right here." And he looked at it, and he reached over, uncovered his wrist. He was wearing Johnny's bracelet. He was not in his unit. He didn't know him, but he was wearing his bracelet. 500 people were sitting in the room, and I happened to sit down to somebody wearing his bracelet. And to me, that was extremely important. It keeps the word out, the message out, that we still have people missing and need to be found. I'll be honest with you, I don't wear the bracelet. Mainly because I wore it as a kid. I went through 5 bracelets in 2 years. I worried the thing until they would break, would have to replace it, and so I decided I would not wear it because I couldn't keep it intact. But hopefully we're going to get some answers this year and find something, because somebody stated we're getting older, and it's going to be seen where the people representing the next of kin won't even have a clue who the person was. But we hope there's answers for everybody this year.
Thank you. Okay.
Good morning. It's good to see some familiar faces, but I know there are a lot of people in here that is your first time. My heart goes out to you. It's tough. I'm representing the families of Lima Site 85. If you're not familiar with Lima Site 85, it was a radar base, secret radar base on top of Pupati in Laos, where we were not supposed to be. But we were. And they were all doing what they did best. On the eve of 3/11/68, they were attacked, and 11 people were lost. I'm not saying all 11 people were lost. Some of them made it off, I believe. Some of them didn't, but I do feel the need to say their names right now. Lieutenant Colonel Blanton, James Calfee, who was my uncle, Melvin Holland, Rick Holland's dad. Rick is somewhere. I'm not sure where, but he's here. Patrick Shannon, his remains have been identified. Donald Springstead, Willis Hall, Here's his brother, his dad, excuse me. James Davis, Henry Gish, Herbert Kirk, Don Worley, these are his 2 children, and his brother. And David Price. Save David till last because the very special thing happened to David this week. His remains were identified 56 years after the fact. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name's Kay Hall. This is my wonderful friend, Carolyn Hendricks. We've been friends for a long time. Our husbands were shot down over Da Nang in 1972. We've been so close since then, and we are looking to hope to find remnants of the plane or something in the bay. It's a very easy find, the way we understand it, especially now with the photography, the underwater photography that they've been using and are starting to use. We hope the DPAA can help us with that. We have a gentleman named Ed Sykes here. He was an Air Force friend with Carolyn's husband when they flew Carolyn's husband was there for his second tour. The first tour, he was there in 105s. And Ed Sykes back here is a wonderful friend. He's a retired Air Force gentleman, and he is helping to try and find information and get a little search, a water search for our husbands. My husband was on his second tour also. He was an RB-66, and they flew together in an F-111, and they were lost on November 21st, 1972. And their names are Ron Stafford and Charles Caffarelli. They were wonderful husbands, and Carolyn and I both we had 2 babies, really, 2 very small children when they went the second time and didn't come home. And we're very proud of our husbands, and we've made our children, and this is one of them. This is Carolyn's daughter, Dawn. We're very proud of our children. We try to do the best we can with them, and they're very pro-military, and we would love to see something found by the time, because Carolyn and I are not any young chicks anymore. That was 55 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Steve Merrick, and I'm the son of Charles Weldon Merrick. And I just want to say he was a service member flying A6 off of VA-65. He went down on June 25th, 1966. It's wonderful to hear all your stories, and I'm very thankful for the DPAA. I was very young at the time, unfortunately. Like one of the other speakers, I was about 18 months when he passed away. But anyway, I'm very thankful to be here and very thankful to hear all your wonderful stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Veronica Crawford. I have a daughter named Shantae Butler. Her father, Dewey Renee Butler, was a private and became a corporal, but he went down in July '69. He was the gunner on the helicopter. He passed away July the 4th. Well, my MIA, the 14th of July, and I had her on the 20th, so she never knew him. And my baby's having a hard time this whole 55 years. She wants something from him, and if he would bring remains, it will help her. My child is dying, and I can't help her.
Thank you, ma'am.
Howdy. I'm Karen E. Forrester. I'm the very proud daughter of Captain Ronald W. Forrester. He was shot down, he's a Marine, shot down over North Vietnam, December 27th of 72, part of Operation Linebacker 2. I have been coming to these meetings for years. Some of you are like family to me, so it's always great to get together. But for all the people that I'm hearing are first-timers, we're so glad that you're here. Heather, hearing you say you'd never met anyone else. I remember meeting MIA family whose last name didn't match mine when I was 14. And that really changed a lot for me because there's a lot of isolation when no one else is in your position. So welcome, and welcome to all of you that are here for the first time. Please make sure in your case review, set one up and ask any question that you want. That is your time. There's no dumb question. And just stick with this, y'all. It gets frustrating, I know, as a family member, but I'm here to tell you we got an answer. My dad was identified after 50 years, 3 weeks before 51. And getting that call, I was shocked. And I mean, it's still pretty surreal. And it's amazing, and I want it for all of you. I will continue to come and work this mission with you because we still got work to do, and I want to see the answers all of you are asking for to come to fruition as well. Just don't give up and keep the hope going.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Danielson. My dad was December 5, 1969, over Mugia Pass in Laos, part of Boxer 2-2. There's a lot of people who knew what that was. My last convention was in 2006 when I debriefed my chance to go with JPAC to Laos to find my dad. As far as I know, I was the only son of an MIA who was allowed to go on that because they decided afterwards that they didn't think they wanted that program to happen anymore. And I think that was a mistake of JPAC. But I was really proud to be able to have the access and to go with the teams and dig for my dad. We didn't find anything. I gave my brief here and then drove to Andrews and was in Iraq for another tour. But I just would like to say in that tour from Iraq, they found some remains that were identified. And they were identified as my dad, and we helped bring him home. Yeah. I'm getting old and emotional, but I just wanted to tell you that I can't promise you get answers, but God tends to have things happen in the way they're supposed to happen. And if I learned anything through that process, I learned as alone as I felt. Well, when we brought my dad home, I realized how many people were there for us. And to all of you, I'm just hit with this wave of emotion, remembering what it was like. And wanted you to know that there are people there who understand and support you and pray for you. And God bless you all on your journeys. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm only more boldly supportive of you than I ever have been in my life before. And God bless you all in your journeys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Jane Klingner, now Adams. My first husband, Captain Michael Lee Klingner, was an F-100D pilot shot down over the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Laos. Within a couple weeks of his being shot down in 1970, April, I received a letter that looked like Sybil Stockdale had typed it out at her Smith Corona at the kitchen table, inviting family members of the MIAs and POWs to come to the first meeting of this group in Washington, D.C. in May 1970. The Air Force flew 4 of us from Offutt Air Force Base. one POW wife, 2 MIA wives, and an MIA sister from Offutt to this meeting. Momentous. We were finally realized it wasn't doing us any good to stay quiet about our lost loved ones. We had to get active, which you have done. Mike received the Distinguished Flying Cross for his action in rescuing ground troops, American ground troops who were pinned down by the VC in South Vietnam. It makes me so proud and happy to think of the men who did return to raise families because of Mike's action. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Amy Stewart, and I am here because I'm the daughter-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel John F. Stewart, United States Air Force B-52 aircraft commander, shot down December 20th, 1972. I wanted to share with you how important it was when my husband and I came to our first meeting and made those family connections. I'm here because he's no longer available to take this mission forward. His son has stepped into that position. Very proud of that Marine, but he's active duty. So I stand alongside him to continue our mission. And this is the legacy, and it's not a legacy anybody wants, but it is. We need those answers because this is not a legacy, just not one you want to pass down. But I wanted to share with you that it's important that we continue the mission, we continue looking for those answers, and representation is the best way to do that, and to stand there and be involved and ask your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good.
I didn't want to put any of you behind my back, so I did what the last lady just did. I was taught not to have people looking at your back. My name is Patricia Ann Mitchell Perry. I am the widow of Chief Warrant Officer Otha Lee Perry, killed December 14th, 1971 in Vietnam. My husband loved military life. He started out as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division. Then he went to Special Forces Unit. Then he decided he wanted to fly. And he loved flying. He actually, I was told, volunteered for the 3rd tour of duty in Vietnam. I wasn't happy about it, but I loved my husband, and I know he wanted to do this. His airplane was not shot down. It actually exploded, and for what I have received from the military, it's that black box report that shows that the engine on his plane caught fire and exploded in midair over the South China Sea. Christmas has never been the same to me, because for them to come to me and let me know what happened that close to a very special holiday just took the meaning away. But year after year, dealing with my God in my life, I can celebrate it again. If you ever see me anywhere on my shoulder, you will see a butterfly. I wear a butterfly every day. Reminds me of Otha. He's always with me. He's looking out for me. And I appreciate what the military is still doing. In fact, I asked several years ago, why are you still searching for parts or whatever you can find? We're talking about 1971, and we're looking at now 2024. I thank you for everything that you're trying to do. I'm an active Gold Star wife. I do a lot with the Gold Star families. And at my church, I am in charge of every Memorial Day and Veteran Day celebration that come on because we have lots of vets in our church. I thank you for continuing to do the things you do for all of us. I celebrated my 80th birthday, and I was 31 when my husband was killed. I thank God for still being around here to do this. And I pray each and every day for all of you. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry for the noise outside. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I'm Michael McPherson. I am the grandson of Tanis Emil Khalil, who was captured with two other gentlemen on their way to work February 8th, 1969. They were all Lear Siegler employees, helicopter mechanics, going to deliver checks to their comrades out in the bases in the hinterland. And they didn't make it. They got grabbed by a Viet Cong element and were dragged into the jungle. 4 years and 4 days later, 4 men were released. 2 of them were his comrades that were captured that day. John Fritz, James Newingham, Doug Ramsey, and Special Forces Captain William Hardy. They came home and told the story of my grandfather dying in captivity in the arms of James Fritz. I'm going to ask everybody to pray for my family today. It's a rough day. Grandpa Tommy has a lot of grandchildren that never got to meet him. He left behind 4 sons, the youngest of which, his only child, died the Saturday before last. Today is Joseph Khalil's birthday. He did not reach 23 years old. So he was very curious about what happened to Grandpa Tommy, and I'm so glad that I was able to have folks like you at my disposal that helped us do the research. So glad for the folks at DPAA and our research analysts that provided a whole bunch of information, including possibly the last picture of Grandpa Tommy ever taken alive. Please pray for our family today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Maura Walsh. My father was Colonel Richard Ambrose Walsh. He was a Skyraider pilot. He was Sandy 1 on a mission to rescue a downed pilot in Laos on February 15th, 1969. As Sandy 1, his job was to locate the downed pilot and fly low and slow to draw fire and take out enemy guns so that the helicopters could hoist the downed pilot up. Well, in the course of that work, he himself was shot down, and on February 15th, 1969, near Chipone in Zikon province. My father's crash site is known. It's a 2-part crash site. The current theory is there was a last-minute attempt to punch out in the Yankee extraction system. So they found the Yankee extraction system artifacts, and that would be where his remains would be. But they haven't fully excavated that part of his crash site. So I applaud everyone here who has the same sense of duty that my dad did, and encourage you to excavate, locus, B, of my father's crash site, which is where he is. Thank you for your sense of duty.
Thank you, ma'am.
Assuming that the people outside are going to give us a little respect. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. My oldest brother, our mother had passed away when I was 3, and he had just turned 15. His name was Chief Master Sergeant Charles Douglas King. And he wasn't a pilot in the Air Force, so he didn't have to know all of those sophisticated things that a pilot needed to know. But he had to train for 1.5 years for his job. And his job was to be lowered into the jungle and save the pilots. They were called PJs, pararescue men, and there was only one of them that went down. One went down for each pilot, and they were lowered 100 feet from a Jolly Green Giant to the ground. He was there for 10 months. In 10 months, he got his orders to come home, because in 10 months, he had completed 75 rescue missions. In that 10 months, he received the Air Force Cross, Silver Star, Distinguished Flying Cross, the Air Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, and of course, the Purple Heart. So, before he became a hero in the Air Force, he was my hero, my big brother, who took care of me after our mother passed away. In the mid-90s, although he was rescuing a pilot about 45 miles southeast of Dong Hoi, North Vietnam, they found his airman card and his Geneva Convention card in pristine condition in a Hanoi War Museum. This was in the 90s. And still to this day, we can't figure out how those 2 cards got into that museum. And there was some Vietnamese writing on the back, and there's some discrepancies as to what it says, but I don't think we were ever really able to properly excavate the crash site because it was in Laos. And there was a AAA group in Laos from that the enemy operated, which shot down most of our planes that were flying towards North Vietnam. And Doug was the one who went in, and on 75 times within a 10-month period, brought either somebody back that was dead or alive. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Luck is over here in the pink shirt.
Good morning. My name is Luck Patterson, the brother of Navy Lieutenant James Kelly Patterson. I was in the Marine Corps. I was a rifle platoon commander fighting in the South at the same time that my brother was flying bombing missions over the North. Now, just to show you what kind of I got a little story just to show you what kind of a brother he was. I'll keep it quick. He got some permission. The USS Enterprise pulled into Subic Bay for a little bit of downtime. He asked his commanding officer if he could go see his kid brother in Da Nang. Well, Da Nang in those days was something of an American city, really. Now, he got permission, but I wasn't in Da Nang. I was out in the rice paddies. I was out in the bush, but he found his way to me just as I was preparing my platoon for a 3-day combat patrol, platoon-sized combat patrol. And not to be denied a visit, he went along with me. I issued him a flak jacket and a helmet and an M16, and he actually participated in a Marine combat patrol. He was a navigator bombardier on A6 intruders, which was at the time the cutting edge of our technology. He was a wanted man by the Russians because he was getting by their defenses. He was putting bombs on the target during all kinds of weather. The Russians wanted to know what he did, when he did it, what stimulated him to do what he did so that they could create countermeasures. And here he was out in the bush, vulnerable to be captured by the Viet Cong and turned over to the Russians. He survived my patrol. About a month later, he was shot down on Ho Chi Minh's birthday, May 19, 1967. Went missing on the 22nd. For 18 years, we didn't know anything about his missing status from the Vietnamese. They finally opened up and said that he was killed. They said that on the 22nd of May, he was killed and he was buried on the spot. Our people went there to that spot with the Vietnamese witnesses. They said, dig here, we dug, and there's nothing there to indicate that anybody was ever buried there. In 1991, there was a Soviet newspaper came out with the information, evidence, if you will, that has not been confirmed, that my brother was taken to the Soviet Kazakhstan, where the Russians had research facilities going on missiles or what name it. That has not been confirmed, so I'm still exploring that. I went to Kazakhstan in 1997, in Vietnam in 1995. That's why I'm here, still trying to find out what happened to my brother. But that's the kind of a brother he was. Highly trained naval officer, came to participate as a participant in a Marine combat patrol. So I thank God for his brotherhood.
Thanks, Luck.
My name is Natalie Anderson Rao. I'm here with my sister, Sherry Anderson Rungstead. We have two younger brothers. Our dad is Colonel Warren L. Anderson, date of loss, 26 April 1966, also an F-4 pilot. I've heard quite a few F-4 identification this morning. And what I love about this opportunity is everybody has a story. And so this is a chance for us to tell our stories. It's encouragement to each other, and I think it should be an encouragement to all of DPAA. I know you guys know this, that every case number has a family, but this is like a real reminder of that. And so I'm going to whittle it down to one story. In February of 1966, my dad and his co-pilot had R&R. Well, and that early in the war, you didn't come back to the U.S. I think they had the option of Taiwan or the Philippines. So they went to Taiwan. And our dad met Steve McQueen in a bar in Taiwan because he was there filming Sand Pebbles. And I think the statute of limitations has run out, but he did offer him a ride in an F4, and which never happened. As far as I know, it never happened. But that was just one of the very cool stories about our dad, and I know you guys could all share the same thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Penelope Gassman Gray. My brother, Fred Gassman, volunteered to go into the Army. He was in Special Forces. His troop was on a mission in Laos, which of course we weren't supposed to be in Laos, so my parents thought it was in Vietnam until they could tell us that he was in Laos. And during the mission, they were attacked. His team was attacked. And my brother, they, of course, radioed for help, for rescue. And my brother and the leader of the team helped the others be rescued. But my brother and the other leader of the team were killed. And he was awarded a Silver Star for his bravery. And my brother was always the champion of the underdog, always. If he thought someone was being wronged, he took up for them. And I was very proud of that. He was a gentleman. We were very close. We were just 3 years apart in age. He was killed 1 month after his 23rd birthday. He was a newlywed. He had only been married 2 months before he went over. And I never could accept the fact that he was gone. I wanted to think he was being held prisoner and he'd be home. And I never found any comfort, anyhow, until about how many years ago was it? About 50 years ago. General Kelly, who was a previous chief of staff, his son was killed in Afghanistan. It's been several years ago now. And he said something that brought me some comfort. He said, if my son had to do it all over again, he would have. He was proud of what he was doing. And I thought about that, and I thought, Fred would have done it again too. And he had many friends and soldier friends who were South Vietnamese. And for some reason, that brought me comfort, knowing that he would do it again. And I'm just so proud of him. And even though it's been more than 50 years, it still hurts. It still hurts badly. And so I certainly feel for all of you who are going through such things. And I hope that this meeting continues. It needs to continue. And we appreciate what is being done to find our loved ones. And I appreciate this opportunity to tell my story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes on the money, so if anyone has brief remarks. If not, since it came up several times, and I meant to do it before, there's 209 of you family members here today representing 103 losses. For comparison, last year we had 152 guests representing 72 losses. Can I have a, since it's come up several times, can I have a show of hands of who is here for the first time? Wow, that's quite significant. We're especially pleased that you all have joined us.